Caution: this game contains scenes of violence and gore, as well as depictions of criminal acts. These acts are strictly punished by law. Please do not attempt to imitate them. This game also contains themes of sexual violence and self harm. This game is a work of fiction. Any relationship to real persons, groups, places, or crimes is coincidental. So last time, Rimi was like our friend. The demon girl is actually our friend. And then fucking he actually is fucking
そろ
Shogun,
そろ寝る
which is
か。
so weird. I bit back a yawn and looked over my PC's block. It was showing 5 a.m. I spent the whole night grinding ESO and hadn't gotten the rare item I wanted. 8 hours of work and nothing. Well, it happened a lot. I looked over to the side of my computer desk. The D sword I had bought yesterday was still there. It was close enough that I could grab it at any time. It hadn't glowed at all. For what it was worth, I was hoping that at some point it would transform into an awesome weapon, like the one Senna had. On the monitor, Grimm's avatar had just leveled up. My Nightheart was max level, so he wouldn't level up again. Grimm is a bum? I mean, well, Grimm is not a bum, but he's also a bum. I rubbed my eyes. I've wondered if it was time to make a third character after Liselotte. Liselotte. I found myself thinking about experience points. There was something you saw a lot in video games, but the way I saw it, there were experience points in the real world too. When I'd started ESO, I'd been a completely clueless newbie, but now I was Base Lord's famous lightning fast Nightheart, the game's ultimate warrior. So, for instance, was it possible that some person inside me's experience points had been reset somehow? Maybe that's why I'd forgotten things I should have known. Maybe that's where the weird inconsistencies in my memories had come from. Like with Shogun or the Demon Girl. Before I'd lost my experience points, I, that is the person inside me, had used the nickname Shogun in chat. Maybe the Demon Girl Rimi had been a big part of my life too, and I wasn't a friendless otaku. No, that was going too far. But maybe before I'd had some kind of incredible power that would have let me fight the Demon Girl. I wondered if I was the only person who could come up with an idea like this. Not that it really seemed strange to me. Humans could only ever judge things by standards they created for themselves. Did that mean it was possible that I, and not just me, but everyone else in the world was wrong about everything? When I was little, I'd gone to the dentist, and they'd said to me, "You did a great job not crying when it hurt so much." Back then, I'd felt kind of proud for enduring the pain, like I'd done something special. But looking back, they were probably judging how much pain I was in by looking at how bad the cavity was. But maybe the same level of pain was really bad for some people and not so much for others. Maybe the way people felt things or sensed things was totally different. Take giving birth, for instance. I'd seen a lot of people online, for instance, saying that women could handle the pain but men couldn't. Or what about marathon runners? Maybe what made them special wasn't their stamina, but the way they could endure pain. Or maybe take S and him. 5 minutes. It took 5 minutes. And technically it took four. Some people enjoyed receiving pain, and some people enjoyed giving it. Maybe everyone had different ways of experiencing their senses and different levels that they could endure. Maybe the toothaches and headaches that I sometimes had to put up with were a level of pain beyond what an ordinary person could endure. And if I could pass that pain to them somehow, they died on the spot from shock. All this speculation left me with the selfish delusion that I was somehow special.
特殊な人間か。
So I'm special, huh?
っていうか、
Nah, no way.
何を大げさな。
I denied it, but I'm sure it was a delusion everybody shared. Every man wants to be the strongest in the world. Everybody wants to think they're special, chosen. They want to believe a dramatic future filled with adventure is waiting for them, like on TV or in the movies. The desire to be a hero, I guess you could call it. It was childish, really, of course. I had that same desire. Maybe it was my destiny in life to defeat the demon girl. Of course, if someone actually told me to do it, I'd have several conditions. I'd need cheat codes, obviously, like God mode for one thing, or invincibility. I didn't want to be scared or get hurt. Man up, nigga. If I couldn't, hold on. If I couldn't have that, in other words, if I had to do it right now, I would absolutely refuse. Which meant that if the person inside me's experience points had been reset, I might be at a big disadvantage. I was almost late today. Maybe staying up till dawn to play games before a school day was a mistake. I had to run to make it in time. When I arrived outside my classroom, I paused to catch my breath. I didn't want to do anything to attract attention from any classmates. Being late was potentially a fatal mistake. If any DQNs took an interest in me, my life was over. I slowly walked into the classroom. My head was pointed toward the ground, and I avoided looking at anyone. Of course, I didn't give anyone a cheery good morning. I tried to make myself as invisible as possible when I headed to my seat. Also, it's especially odd that Rimi hasn't, like, approached Shido at all, you know? That was always how I did things. Like usual, I reached my seat without any issues and sat down. I quickly put my head down on the desk. Now I'd be safe for the rest of the homeroom. So I thought, until I was lightly tapped on the back.
Yo, Taku.
Hey, Taku!
今週は
You came
3
to
回も
school
学校来
3
てんじ
whole
ゃねえ
times
か
this week. You're turning into a
真面目
teacher's
だな
pet. Oh, Misumi again. I sighed. But it wouldn't be right to ignore him. I began to raise my head and stopped. Was this Misumi really Misumi? 2 days ago, I'd called him like the demon girl had told me to. But something had been very wrong. He'd acted like the demon girl was in our class. That was impossible. Maybe the demon girl had brainwashed him. Or maybe he'd become someone else entirely.
おいどうし
Hey,
た
what's wrong? You in
早
sleep
くも
mode
爆睡
already?
モードか
A loud electronic noise echoed through the classroom. I felt a slight vibration near my chest. It was my phone. Damn it, why now of all times? What kind of idiot with the police? Why was it playing a ringtone when I set it to vibrate? Maybe I'd messed up
お
the settings.
鳴ってるぞ
Hey,
タク
your phone's ringing, Taku. I know that. Should I answer now? If I did, Misumi would know that I wasn't asleep. I didn't like answering the phone anyway. If I didn't answer, though, it would annoy the rest of the class. Having my phone's ringtone drown out the rest of the classroom was bad. I needed to stay invisible. This was really
お
bad.
い
Hey,
出
you're
な
not
いの
gonna
か
answer? Are you actually asleep? But now I'd missed my chance. I couldn't move. Suddenly, the sound of vibrations stopped. It must have gone to voicemail. I let out a sigh of relief, being careful to not let Misumi hear me. I was Wait, what if Rimi was the one who was calling him when he went to animate to get his set a time figurine? I was glad I learned up how to set a
な
voicemail.
タク相
Hey,
手は誰
Taku,
だ
who's that? A
ま
girl?
さか
Is it
女
the
か
girl you were walking
この
home
前
with?
一緒に帰った
It
あのメガネ
is,
の子でしょ
right?
そうなんだろ
God, shut up. I'm already attracting too much attention because of the phone call. Please leave me alone. Was Misumi always this annoying? He was always too friendly. But he hadn't always been this annoying, right?
やめなよ。
Uh-oh. That voice. It was coming from right next to Misumi.
そっとしておいてあげたら
Just
大
leave him
地
alone, Daichin.
なんだか疲れてるみたい
He
だし
seems like he's tired. Yeah, that. She was in this classroom, acting like she belonged here.
どうせゲームのやり
He
す
was
ぎだろ
probably all night playing video games, right?
タク
You're
に
too
甘
nice
すぎる
to
ぜ
him.
だって大地
Well,
女
you're
の
an enemy
敵
to
だし
women everywhere, so
そういう
I'm
人
not
には
nice to
優
you,
しくし
that's
ませ
all.
ん
She was talking like she belonged here. She was fitting in like she belonged here. I was too scared to look up. I didn't want to admit that girl was there.
ま別
Well,
にお前に優しく
even if
して
you're
もら
not
わな
nice
くて
to
も
me, I know
俺には
lots
優
of
し
girls
くし
who
てく
will
れる
be.
女はたくさん
だから
That's
そうい
exactly
う
what I'm
発言
talking
が良
about.
くないんだっ
If
て
your
ば
girlfriend heard you say that,
彼
she'd
女さ
cry.
今の大地の彼女
Not
が
that I have
誰
any
だか
idea
わ
who
かんな
your
いけど
girlfriend is right now, though.
ほらチャイム鳴っ
Anyway,
た
the
先
bell
生来る
rang.
よ
The teacher's coming. Had the demon girl really always been my classmate? No, that was impossible. She wasn't here 2 days ago. Misumi was the only one who talked to me that day, and I hadn't come yesterday. And now she was here today. How had she wormed her way in? As the homeroom chime rang, everybody headed back to their seats. I fearfully looked up, trying to see as much as I could without moving my head. I wanted that voice to be a hallucination, and for that to happen, I needed to prove she wasn't in this room. I didn't see her. I didn't see the girl. Maybe it was a hallucination. My seat was in the 5th row. There were 9 rows in all. She wasn't in the seats in front of me. That mean she was behind me? But I didn't look back. I couldn't do something that would attract so much attention. Damn it! This was so frustrating. Was she in the room or wasn't she? I didn't feel it prickling on my neck. Nobody was looking at me. I couldn't sense anybody's gaze. Was she here? Was she not here? Which? I stared down at my desk, trying to see if I could sense her somehow. And I heard the sound of the teacher coming into the room. I forgot their name. Was it Sukaji or Sukata or something? I think. It was the phys ed teacher. He was a huge meathead, but he didn't yell or do any physical punishment either. If anything, he was the kind of teacher who could take a joke. There was a mild murmur of surprise going up and down the classroom, but I was too busy thinking about the demon girl to worry about it. How the hell was I supposed to sense anybody? This wasn't a manga. Was I just stupid? We have a transfer. It's that girl. It's that girl who we saw burning her shit. The teacher spoke in a whisper, so that's what the fuss was about. Go on, Orihara. Introduce yourself. I couldn't hear the transfer student's voice. Was she really here? I took a CG, 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 CG. Bingo! Okay, last one I did was green. Sure enough, there was a girl there. She was really tiny. She might have been smaller than Nanami. She looked kind of weak and timid, in a moe sort of way. She was pretty cute for a 3D girl, maybe. I didn't even say real girl, I said 3D girl. That's how mad I am right now. For some reason, there were tears in her eyes, and she was looking down. Yeah, because she just got snatched away from her fucking home. When we saw her in chapter 1, she was pissed that she had to move. Nigga booty eating challenge. That whippy-looking transfer student didn't matter at all. What mattered was Rimi. I had to do 180 flip. I don't give a fuck about her. Let me go get... Huh? I heard a voice from the back of the class. Rimi! She started talking. Kozue! You transferred here? Kozue? Who the hell was Koze? Who's Rimi talking to? Oh, Sakihata. You know Orihara? Yes, I do. Rimi was talking to the teacher. I was getting even more confused. I couldn't think straight. The transfer student laughed instantly. I followed you. I followed you, Rimi. Really? Wow, you're really brave. What was Rimi talking to the transfer student before? Did they know each other? Was this transfer student a servant of the demon girl too? I froze, unable to do anything but listen to their conversation. Good to see you again, Rimi. You too. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Oh. It's stupid ass face. Yeah, a whole lot of fun, maybe. Right? I can't wait. I can't wait. Don't you feel the same way? You do, right? Takumi Nishijo? Seems like Orihara's a little nervous. Alright, we can skip the introductions. The teacher's voice brought me back to my senses. My senses. I was so relieved to find out that this was just an illusion. The transfer student was still standing there, timidly, not saying a word. Everyone, this is Kozue Orihara. Make her feel welcome. Orihara, your seat's in the far back row. You can sit down. The transfer student bowed silently and started to walk towards me. Her seat would be 4 rows behind me. Thought about pretending to follow her with my eyes as she walked so I could look back and see who was there. But if I did, I'd stand out a lot. Some DQN might see me and say, "Don't stare at the transfer student just because she's cute." Then they tried to beat this nigga is such an incel, it's fucking crazy. What should I do? Turn around or wait until homeroom ended? My head drooped as I squeezed my fist tightly. It was no good. I didn't have the courage. If I turned around
そ
and
の
saw
人
her,
って
is that person,
悪
huh?
い人なの？
A bad
だ
person?
ったらね、
If they are, maybe I
本
really
当
will
に
kill
殺
them
して
for
あげ
you.
てもいいよ。
Transfer student passed by me. I gasped and looked up at her. Our eyes met, but she quickly turned and passed by me. That voice. It was a delusion, right? Maybe I was under so much stress I was starting to lose sight of the distinction between delusion and reality. In the end, I'd stayed there trembling in my seat, lacking the courage to look around. I focused on trying to calm my fear of Rimi, who I was sure was watching me. Homeroom came to an end as soon as I tried to figure out the answers to the new doubts that were rising in my mind. There were 5 minutes until first period started. Misumi was already on his way to the new girl's desk. He was evidently aiming to start hitting on her first day. My other classmates were all curious about her as well. The classroom was a lot noisier than usual. On the surface, it was a peaceful, ordinary day. But to me, it felt like I was in the middle of an enemy camp. My heart was pounding so hard, I wouldn't calm down. My whole body felt tense, and it took a lot of courage to move just a single finger. I was fighting the impulse to turn around, with the knowledge that doing so was
タ
suicide.
ク、
Taku. My breathing almost stopped. My mind went blank. The voice right. She was here after all. She was right
具
here.
合悪そうだけど、
You don't look so good.
平気？
Are you okay? Run. Run. I tried to, but my legs were shaking too much to stand up. As I sat there frozen, the demon girl, Rimi Sakihata, came around to my front.
汗びっしょり。
You're soaking
風
with
邪でも
sweat.
ひいたんじゃな
Did
い？
you catch a cold? Just like she had said 2 days ago. She sounded worried about me. It's like she had 2 days ago. She offered me a floral scented handkerchief. I didn't take it. Instead, I wiped the sweat away with my hands.
なんて
Shit. Why?
何？
What? I couldn't even look at her. I couldn't hear in her voice that she was smiling, though.
ねえね
Hey,
え、さ
hey,
っき
what are you talking
何
about
話
with
して
her?
たの？
Rimi crouched down and put her hands on the desk, resting my head on them to look at me. She was looking at my face. Wait, so Rimi heard that too. Oh! I looked away as fast as I could. Damn it! Was she just not going to let me escape no matter what? My heart was about to burst from fear. Somebody save
す
me!
っごく気になる。
I'm really curious. What was she even talking about? Who was I talking
転
to?
校生。
The transfer student.
あの子がタクの
She
机の
whispered
横を通
something
る
to
とき
you when
に
she passed
おい
by
で
your
さ
desk.
もしかして
Do you know
あの
her?
子と知り合い？
Rimi was still smiling, but I was imagining. Or did her voice sound like she was interrogating?
タクって
I
リアル
thought you
な女の
weren't
子に
interested
興
in
味ない
real
んじゃなかっ
girls.
たっけ？もしかして
Were you
本当は興
lying
味あ
about
る
that?
の？
What do you care? Was she trying to find out my personal information so she could threaten me or something? No. I wasn't into real girls. That was something I was always clear
じゃ
about.
あさ、じゃあさ、
Okay, okay.
私にも
Are you interested
実は
in
興
me?
味
Yes.
あったりする？
Except you're in high school, so no. I'm interested in you. I'm not interested in you. We don't talk to high schoolers on the Sudafed YouTube channel. A freezing chill ran down my spine. More sweat was pouring down my forehead even though I just wiped it away. Was that a threat? Was she telling me... Wait, what did she say? I wasn't paying attention. Oh, no. She didn't say anything. Was she trying to act Mo and seduce me so she could set me up in a trap? Alarm bells were going off in my mind, and I couldn't say another word to the demon girl. I was doomed.
タク？
Taku? I didn't even think about it. I just leapt out of my chair and ran out of the classroom, tripping over other students' desks as I went. I ran straight up the stairs of the school building onto the empty roof. The girl didn't seem to be following me. But still, I couldn't relax. I decided to crouch down and hide behind something. My knees were shaking. I was amazed I'd managed to run like this. Maybe that was a sign of how desperate I'd been. I couldn't take any more of this reality. Even that D-sword I'd bought turned out to be useless. I couldn't take it to school, it would stand out too much. I'd let my guard down. When Misumi had told me that Rimi was our classmate 2 days ago, I thought it was a lie or a delusion. But she'd really become a classmate. There was no sense in trying to figure out how she'd done it. She was a demon after all. She could do things that humans couldn't. Maybe she'd brainwashed the class. Maybe even all the teachers. I couldn't go to school. I couldn't go to the hospital. You had been at cafe, and Shogun is me. Her servants were getting closer and closer to me. They were launching constant psychological attacks too. Maybe I'd do better to just not leave the base. There were too many enemies outside in reality. They were constantly threatening my peaceful life. I looked up at the blue sky, where the white clouds were flying freely, blown by the wind. If only I could be one of those clouds. About 3 hours passed. I spent the whole time silently crouched on the ground. For now, nobody seemed to be following me. Only after that was I able to relax. The problem was, what do I do now? Somebody was sure to come here to eat during lunch. Maybe my best option would be to run out of school and back to the base during fourth period. It would screw up my schedule, but I didn't have anywhere near the courage I'd need if I wanted to go back to class with the demon girl waiting. My bag was still there, but I'd just have to forget about it. The only things in it were books anyway. My important stuff like my wallet and key were all in my uniform pocket, right? I got worried and double checked. Wallet, key, phone. They were all there. Only then did I remember that someone had called me earlier. I was on. Did it work? It did. Not as much as when Rimi. It really freaked me out when it happened. Not as much as when Rimi
一体
spoke.
誰だ
Who could it be? The only people who could possibly want to call me are my family. It was most likely Nanami, right? She didn't care about whether or not she was bothering me. Who else would know that number? Oh, I also told it to those detectives. If it was them, maybe I should have picked up. We never did discuss exactly how they were going to send police officers to. The LCD displayed showed the number of the person who called. It didn't look like it was Nanami. I noticed I had a voicemail too. Did I recognize that number from somewhere? I decided to check my call history. There were only 5 calls there. In other words, only 5 times someone had called me since I'd bought my phone. 3 of them were from Nanami. What about the other 2? There was one from 5 days ago and one just now. Since their number wasn't in my contacts, it wasn't showing up as a name. They were both from the same number. 0303 733 991. They left a message. It must mean that they really wanted to talk to me. The nigga booty eating challenge. Guess I could listen.
あのさ、私だけど、別に
お
あんたの声が聞きたいから電話したわけじゃないんだからね。
What the
なん
fuck
とな
is
く
this?
暇だった。でも、
But you
クラ
know,
スは別に
we're
な
in different classes now,
最近
so we don't get much of a
話
chance to talk.
あんた、
Hey,
私のこと
how do you feel
どう
about
思
me?
う？例えばさ、
Have you never thought about asking me out?
別に
Of course, even if you did, I wouldn't feel happy about it at all.
そもそも
There's not even the slightest guarantee that I'd say yes either.
でもさ、
But you know, you have to try or you'll never
何も
know,
始ま
right?
らないって思う。とにかく
Anyway, just asking me out to see what happens, got it?
わかった？じゃあ
So, I'll be waiting under the legendary tree after school
急いで
today.
来なさいよ。
Hurry up and
来な
come!
かったら
You'd better!
ないんだからね。
うーん
Yeah, that could totally happen. Wait, no it couldn't. school didn't even have a legendary tree. What was that tsundere girl supposed to be anyway? Well, she was kind of a lame character. I should have made it. I guess now wasn't the time for delusions. I sighed a lonely sigh and decided to listen to the message. I looked around to make sure the demon girl wasn't anywhere nearby. Put the phone up to my ear.
こちらは留守番電話
This
サー
is
ビス
your
センター
voicemail
です。
service. You
新
have
し
one
い
new
メッセー
message.
ジは1件目。
First
10月
message.
17日
Message left on Friday, October 17th
8
at
時
8:28
28
a.m.
分の伝言です。
なんぞこれ。
What the hell? Kind of. What was that one racist programmer who said constantly the CIA was after him and he hated? This is the type of shit would get left in his voicemail. Playing somewhere far off in the distance. Colin might have been standing near. I heard that melody a lot at crosswalks to let the blind know the light had changed. The song was Toriyanse, by the way. A lot of people knew the melody, but not many knew the lyrics, probably. I knew them for what it was worth. I learned them in elementary school. I didn't remember it completely, but they went something like this. Hey! Sounded like the way back is beep, boop, beep, boop. It sounded like an ambulance or something. It's probably a coincidence, but still, it was creepy. Huh! Just having the melody cut off, I heard what sounded like a loud buzzer. The volume was so loud, I yanked the phone away from my ear.
なんだ
What the hell? Fearfully put the phone back to my ear, but the message was over. What was that about? I felt like I'd heard the earth rumbling at the end, too. That buzzer was totally different than the traffic signal. If it was that loud, I must have brought it right up to the phone.
いたずら
A prank call? My heart was racing. Had I done something to piss somebody off? We'd even made this call. I had their number so I could call back if I wanted to, but I didn't have the courage. There was nothing I could do about it. And anyway, I was still in the middle of something much worse happening to me. I put my phone in my pocket and left the school, watching my surroundings as carefully as I could. Takumi Nishijo's alma mater, Kitazawa Elementary School Number 2, was 5 minutes away from a privately operated train station. Yasuji Ban had the idea of talking to his old teacher, but when he called the school, he found out they'd passed away. Instead, he opted to talk to the person he spoke to on the phone, the current head teacher, a man named Kamio. He and his partner had come here to do just that. It was Saturday and the school was closed. Ban and Suwa were standing in front of the school building, looking at it. There was a very eye-catching picture drawn on its outer walls. Ban wasn't the artistic type, so it was beyond him what the thing might be. It looked like a spiral that changed into 7 different colors from the top to bottom, so it also felt kind of like a rainbow. Ban waved his fan as he stared at it. His partner Suwa pushed the call button on the gate. Ban suddenly looked around. It felt like somebody was watching him. It was an unpleasant, clingy sort of gaze.
俺って
Am I
そんなに
that
かっこいいか
cool? He struck a little pose. He looked stylish and cool, he thought.
先輩何変
Why
な
are
ポー
you
ズしてるんで
posing
す
like
か
that? It's weird.
裏門の方に通用
There's
口
an
があるんで
entrance
そ
around
っ
back
ちに回って
they've
くだって
asked us to use. Bond gave up on his pose and sighed. He started to walk. Didn't take long to find the teacher's office. The back gate let... Shit. There were, of course, no children inside the school. It may have just been the shiny linoleum, but the air felt cooler than it did outside. There were 3 teachers in the teacher's office. One of them stood up and bowed as the detectives entered. His rapidly graying hair was parted. He had a pleasant smile on his face. This was Kamio. Ban and Sua had brought out their IDs at almost precisely the same time, giving brief introductions before getting to the point. It was Sua's job to do the talking.
ここの卒業生で
We'd
あ
like
る
to hear what you
西
can
条
tell us
匠
about
君
your
につ
former
いて
student,
教えていた
Takumi
だきたいんです
Nishijo.
が、
彼のことは
I
印象に
remember
残
him,
っていま
yes.
す。
He wasn't in my class,
私
so I
は
can't
担
tell
任
you
で
too
はな
many
かったか
details.
ら
Will
詳
that
し
be
くと
alright?
なると無理ですが、それ
Sua
でも
nodded
構いません
and
か。
opened his notebook to start taking down a memo.
西条君は
What kind of
どん
kid
な子
was
だったんですか？
Nishijo?
難しい子だ
It
と
was a
聞いていま
difficult,
した。
I'm told.
特
Special.
殊だと。
特殊？
Special.
本来なら
He had a certain
他の生徒に
illness
混
that
ざっ
would
て勉
normally
強
make
す
it
るのは
very
とても困難
difficult
な
for him to mix with the
そ
other
の
students.
病気を。
具体的には？
How specifically?
そこまで私が
I'm
言っ
not
てしまっ
sure
て
if
い
it's
いのか
okay
ど
for
う
me to
か。
say. Would you please ask
ご
his
家
family or
族
his
なり
doctor?
医師なりに聞いてい
Almost
た
all
だ
the
けま
schools
す
are like
か。
this these days. They didn't want any trouble. They'd refuse to do anything that could result in an angry phone call from a parent. It made the cop's job a lot harder.
担任の先生は
What
なん
happened
で
to
亡
his
くなったんで
teacher?
す？
事故です。
An accident.
遠足の
During the
最
field
中、
trip,
乗っ
the
ていたバ
class's
スが
bus was
陥
going.
没した
Oh
道路で。
yeah, that did happen. I thought his teacher died of old age, but nope. Fucking, I forgot about the bus crash.
あ、自分そ
Oh,
れ知ってるっ
I
す。
remember that.
ニュー
It
スで
was
や
on
っ
the
てたっすよ
news
ね。
with a big ass smile on his face. 2 big ass grins on their face. Is he missing an eye, or does he just always have that closed?
子供たちは怪我をしただけ
The
で、
kids were
幸い
fortunately
命は助かった
just
のです
injured. None of
が、
them died, but
斉藤先生だ
Mr.
けが犠
Saito
牲になって
unfortunately
し
was
ま
not
い、
so lucky.
なん
Very
とも
unfortunate.
やりきれない。
西条君もそ
And
の事故に
Nishijo
巻
was
き込ま
hurt
れ
in
た
this accident as well. Kamio shook his head
あ
softly.
の子は当日
He was
欠
absent
席
that
して
day
いて
and didn't
バ
get
ス
on
に
the
は乗っ
bus.
欠席の理由は？
Why was he absent?
病が悪
I
化
remember
した
hearing that his
と
illness took a
聞いた
sudden
ような
turn for
覚
the
えがありま
worse.
すが、
Vaughn vaguely remembered the incident too. We know that that's not what happened. His parents can see the future just like he can. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk, where I sound like a fucking video essayist and I explain details that we already know. He'd seen the media standing outside the house of the one boy who hadn't been injured for days on end, trying to get an interview. Boy had never shown himself, however. They really go after fucking Nishijo?
あれは
It was
悲
a
しい
sad
事故
accident.
だったんですよ。
For some reason, Kamiya repeatedly seemed to put emphasis on the word accident. Having a quick chat with Grim before diving into ESO was becoming a daily routine of mine. We never talked about anything specific. We'd swap information about the latest at-chan threads, or talk about naughty stuff, or our latest favorite manga, or the anime we'd seen the other day, stuff like that. Oddly, read Negative Happy Chainsaw Man. Oddly, Chainsaw Edge. Oddly enough, we didn't talk so much about ESO. We do more than enough ESO chat when we were playing after this. Hi, Sedaton. You heard anything about the Kate? Kuwashiku, or give me the details. Just something I heard. I don't know if it's really something people are doing. But like, they play weird noises on your cell phone. Do they say naughty things with a moe voice? Lol. Lol, what kind of H game is that? Lol. I mean, if it was, I'd love to get pranked. Lol. So what kind of whose eyes are those, is it? Grim kept using that phrase. Instantly, I felt sick. The sentence didn't even make sense. Was the phrase funny enough that he had to force it in everywhere? I didn't think so, at least. If anything, it was stupid. Well, yeah, because you have, like, your own trauma with that phrase. But I couldn't start an argument until I'd asked him about the prank. I decided to just put up with it for now. Like the sound of some nasty otaku jerking it, lol. That would be awful. Actually, it's Torianse. Torianse, that's a song, right? The one they play on the crosswalks? Yep. And suddenly it changes to this bzzz noise. And it's really, really loud. You ever heard of a prank like that? I mean, it sounds like something at-channers would do. The strange noise that had been left on my phone yesterday. I didn't know who was behind it, and it was pretty unnerving, so I decided to try and ask Grim. If it was just a prank, I could forget about it. Huh? Huh? Why wasn't Grim responding? Hello? Fall asleep? There was no answer. It was rare for Grim to pass out on me during a chat. It had never happened before, actually. But if it happened, it happened. I'd see him later in ESO, and I could talk to him then. Just when I was about to get up out of my seat, I ran a search on 8chan about that prank you're talking about. Oh, is that what he was up to? But that would mean that even Grim didn't know about it, and he usually knew everything. Blazing for what? Nobody was talking about it, though. Not just on 8chan, but on the rest of the internet. So it must be somebody who had a personal grudge against me then. I was starting to get really curious about who it could be, but I didn't have the courage to call them back. I suddenly had an idea. If I knew the phone number, I could have somebody else call it for me. Maybe Nanami or Misumi. Those would be the two safest bets. No, Misumi was brainwashed by the demon girl. He wasn't a good choice. Nanami was my little sister, so it'd be easy to ask her. She'd get really mad later, probably, but that wasn't my problem. It was the least she could do after all the bullshit she put me through. Kill this nigga now. I said thanks to Grim and ended the chat, promising to meet up with him later in ESO. My stomach was starting to rumble. I was hungry. Did I have any instant ramen somewhere? I looked, but I didn't find any. I'd have no choice but to go to the convenience store. The sun had already set. I would have preferred not to be out at night if I could avoid it. Lately, only bad things had been happening at night. I headed to the convenience store, my feet moving faster than they usually did. Oh, yeah, I can't see shit. It was Saturday, so normally I would have seen a bunch of people on the street. Nigga, go home. Nigga, go home. Nigga, go home. Today it was empty. All the stores that would usually be open were closed. Nigga, go home. Where's the title music? It's about to start playing. Maybe I'd forgotten what time it was. I thought it was 7 p.m., but maybe it was actually 2 a.m. or something. No way. Still, it was way too quiet. You couldn't hear any of the noises you usually heard in the city. The town felt different somehow. I made it to the convenience store in front of Shinsen Station. Even the area around the station was completely devoid of people. I was starting to get more than a little Lanso. Really, Lanso? That was the best y'all could have thought of. I falter on the afterthought. I keep on running like a chicken. What you expect to hear, what you expect to be there suddenly vanishes. It makes you feel like you've been sucked into some strange other world. Normally, I avoided any interaction with other people, but today I longed to see somebody's face. I ran into the convenience store. There should be at least a cashier here, I thought. I looked around. There was nobody. No customers, no employees. Uh,
まさか
no way. That was impossible, right? The cashier just must be in the pack. If I took my stuff up to the register, they'd come out right away. I forced myself to take my time picking out a boxed meal from the refrigerated section. I even pretended to look at manga magazines before finally putting my meal on the counter next to the cash register. Nobody came out from the back. I started to have an awful premonition. This wasn't right. Had I wandered into some place I really shouldn't be? As I stood in front of the register, I took a quick look outside. I couldn't see a single person moving on the other side of the glass doors, but I could see a silhouette, partially hidden by the shadow of the condo building across from me. Huh? The silhouette quickly hid, but still I could see it clearly. There was something long and black in its hands, like a tube. Was that a sniper rifle? It would either be a police force unit or maybe the special assault team. I hadn't seen anybody because the police had sealed off the area. But why? Suddenly I had a shocking realization. I quickly looked around the store before hiding myself in a shelf. Could there be a hostage situation happening in the store? Maybe there was a criminal in the back room who'd taken the cashier hostage. Maybe that criminal was the one responsible for the Nugent murders. Do not say it was Rimi. Do not say it was Rimi, I swear. Oh no, I crouched down, my head in my hands. Why had I come to some place so dangerous? And what were the police doing? If they had this area sealed off, why didn't they stop me before I came in? Was there any way to get out? If I stayed here, they'd take me hostage too. Fortunately, I hadn't run into the criminal yet. They were locking themselves up in the back room. Now was my chance to run. I was so scared my knees were shaking. I could barely even stand up. Still, I somehow managed to stand up and slowly head towards the door when... Attention, criminal! It started with a really stereotypical message. The kind you didn't see even on police procedurals anymore. A policeman was yelling into a microphone outside the store. I was so startled I hid behind the shelf again. You are completely surrounded! Give up the hostage and surrender. It was like something out of a cheesy old movie. Didn't they have hostage negotiators or anything? You have 30 seconds to comply. That was just short. 30 seconds? Surrender within 30 seconds. Or we will have no choice but to use force. Wait, force? Were they going to put the hostage in danger? If somebody tried that in modern Japan, wouldn't the media crucify them? What were the cops thinking? I held my breath and stayed as still as I could. My heart was pounding really fast. It felt like I was about to burst. If the police did come in, this store would get hit, turn into a war zone. If I'd be caught up in it. Maybe I'd get hit by a stray bullet and die. Please, no. Criminals seemed to be doing nothing at all. The inside of the store was dead quiet. Does he know? He's on the corner of Conch and Coral. That's where I am! SpongeBob, he's right on top of you. Why had the criminal done something so stupid? Come on, just surrender. Surrender or something might happen to me too. I peeked out from the shelf and looked outside again. Shockingly, there was a full team of SAT snipers out there, plainly visible, pointing their rifles right at me. I quickly pulled my head back. The police seemed intent on shooting the killer. Was that even legal in Japan? I couldn't believe it. 10 seconds! No way, come on, please stop. I looked around helplessly before I looked down at my hands. Huh? For some reason, my hand was holding a knife. It was stained red too. This was blood. I was confused. Where did I get this knife? Where did it even come from? He sounds like he's going into hot blue alien vag, into a dimension where you just where you're just
There's probably hot alien vagina out there that as soon as you go into it, you literally just black out, go into a vortex of a different dimension, and you're just busting nuts internally to the point where you're just floating through space and time. As soon as you slide in your humanoid dick, as soon as you slide in that alien vagina, as soon as you enter in that blue vag, you're just like, oh. Or go into some portal, right? You just go into a portal and your whole body feels like it's getting fucked. On another planet. Planet Tubular. You go into Planet Tubular, and literally your sexes, you go into a portal and you step through, and you're just like, "Ugh." And that's all you can say because it's so gracious, and you just float like,
Matcha Pilates in Bali before la boo boo rave. I heard a moan right next to me. The cashier was lying there. It was a dull, unimpressive looking college kid. His hands were bound behind his neck and his mouth was sealed with tape. He was staring at me. His eyes were flushed with terror. Why was he looking at me? Don't look at me like that. You're looking at me like I'm the criminal. Wait, the criminal? Am I the criminal? No, it's not me. I didn't do anything. Time's up. We will now shoot you dead. No. Sniper is ready. No. Fire. No. Please don't act like that. Why would they scream fire anyway? Sheesh, this wasn't an old war movie or something. Several minutes had passed while I was lost in my delusion. There was no sign of any employee at all. I wanted to believe that the cashier was just asleep, so I waited another 5 minutes. But there was still no sign of the cashier or anybody else. There wasn't even any sound. Finally got so scared I put the thing back on the shelf and left. I came to the railway crossing right next to the station. I could see the Shinsen station platform clearly from here. There was no way a station platform could be empty. I told myself it was just impossible. But of course, there was nobody there. There was nobody there. I decided to wait for a train to come. If a train stopped at the station, people would surely get off. Even if nobody did, I could see somebody in the train as it went past. I waited 10 minutes and there was no sign of any train. I tried to tell myself that there might have been an accident or something that thrown off the schedule, but there wasn't a single person on the platform. Only then did I realize the seriousness of the situation. It didn't make sense. This wasn't right. I decided to head to Shibuya Station. There was always somebody there. I was sure of that. The area around Shibuya Station was always busy 24 hours a day. I couldn't take the fear anymore, so I started to run. I ran as fast as I could. Even when I started running out of breath, I still didn't stop. I wasn't sure if I'd ever run so hard in my entire life. As I ran, I wished this was all some awful dream, but it wasn't. My heart and lungs were in so much pain. I thought they'd explode. There was no way this pain could be just a dream. I was surprised at how intense my breathing was, but no matter how much air I took in, the pain didn't go away. I headed down Dogenzaka Hill and finally got within sight of the 107 building. By that point, my legs were barely moving. My body felt incredibly heavy, but I forced my legs to move forward. I didn't even have strength left for looking around me. My entire consciousness was focused on getting me to Scramble Station, the symbol of Shibuya. Almost there. Just a bit more. I just had to make it past the 107. Then I'd be in the busiest place in Japan. A place where everyone mixes together, where the walk sign changes. That's why it's called Scramble. Scramble. Empty. The whole Scramble crossing and Shibuya Station were empty. A world without sound. A world that was dead. The air around the crossing was always filled with a flood of sound, but today it was ruled by silence. All I could do was hear the sound of my own panting. It's impossible. I fell to my knees in the middle of the wide road. I couldn't take another step. But more than that, the shock had drained all the strength from my body. This is Shibuya, right? There was nobody to my left, or right, or my back, or front. Anywhere. It was the busiest time of the week. 7 p.m. on a Saturday. What was going on here? This couldn't be happening. I closed my eyes and put my hands up to my head. This was a dream, an illusion. It couldn't be real. Sure, I thought I'd wanted to live a quiet life all by myself. I didn't want to get caught up in anything or have anyone meddle in my plans. But that didn't mean I wanted the only person to be the only person in the world. If there were no other people, who's going to pay my living? If there were no people, who's going to make the meals I got from the convenience store? If there were no other people, who's going to play ESO with me? Who's going to maintain the ESO servers, nigga? There were no other people. Sound. I heard a sound. It's Purple Girl. It's Urple Girl. Because she said she'd be at Hachiko. Someone was here. Someone was close. I felt saved. Just a random chance to crossing looked empty. Nobody had actually disappeared. I hadn't been left alone in the world. I was ready to cry from sheer relief. I turned around towards the sound.
君は
Is that fucking Steven? He was a boy in a wheelchair. He was silently sitting there, some distance from me, but still in the middle of the road. It was hard to figure out how old he was. If I just went off his height, I would have thought he was in elementary school. He had a hat pulled down over his eyes, making it harder to make out his face. But
やっと会えたね。
we finally meet. The boy's face was strangely clear. It was as if it was being whispered into my ear. I actually found myself turning around to check if someone was behind me. But of course, nobody was.
あの、これ
What's going on
どうなっ
here?
てるんですか
I
どう
asked
して
him.
誰も
Why
い
isn't
ないの
anybody else here?
君は
Do,
理由を
do
知
you
って
know
ますか
why?
知ってるよ。
I do. His voice sounded young, but not like a
それよ
child's.
り
But more
僕
importantly,
のメッセージは
did you get my
受け取ってく
message?
れた
Message? I don't know what he was talking
だ
about.
誰だ
Who are
君は
you? His wheelchair advanced forward, wheels turning just a little. It must have been an old chair, because it made a rusty creaking sound as it went.
その目誰の目
Whose eyes are those?
でしょ
Right? I wasn't sure what to think. Why had this boy suddenly said, whose eyes are those? To me. Right here, right now. Who
目
was
覚
he?
めるんだ
Wake up
早く
soon.
出ないともっと
Otherwise,
たくさんの人が
even more people will
信
die.
じ君は一
Who
体
are you? I rubbed my eyes, wiping away tears. Only then could I finally see his face. Oh shit. The cancer patient. His cheeks were caved in. His eyes sank deep in. Okay, that was. I shouldn't have said that. The white's cloudy, and he had no. I'm gonna keep it in though to take accountability, but I shouldn't have said that. And he had no eyebrows. Yet his body was as tiny as a child's.
僕は
I'm
将軍だよ
Shogun. For a moment, I forgot to breathe. My head felt like it had hit by a hammer. The ground seemed to shake. No, it was my body that was shaking. I put a hand on the asphalt to support myself. What? What had he just said? Shogun? This was Shogun?
忘れないで
Don't forget. You
逃
mustn't
げちゃい
run.
けない
I looked up and saw that Shogun had turned from me. His wheelchair was creaking as he slowly disappeared. It didn't even occur to me to try and follow him or ask more questions, or to punch him in the face for getting me caught up in this. I wasn't good at any of that stuff. My head was starting to hurt. I felt an aching in my temples. I stayed on the ground trying to endure the pain. The world suddenly began to fill with static. Who was that voice? Don't look at me. Taku! The static began to change into a voice. Somebody was putting their hand gently on my shoulder. Get out the way.
してんだろうね
What's his problem?
最近の若いもん
Kids these days.
なんかのパフォーマンス
Some
じゃな
kind
い
of
の
street performance? Taku looked up, still reeling from the headache. Rimi was leaning over me, looking down into my eyes. Her eyes were clear and filled with life. Those eyes stared at me and only me. Once again, she'd just shown up out of nowhere.
歩ける
Can you
歩
walk?
いて
Come on. She put her hand under my arms and tried to help me up. I screamed and pushed her away. And I came to my senses and looked around. I was in the middle of the road, but I wasn't alone anymore. There were people all around me, walking past me without the slightest bit of interest. Taku. Rimi seemed like she was about to cry as she looked at me. For now, just listen to me. Stay away from me! Screamed, the aching in my head turning into a stabbing pain. I tried to fight through the pain and crawl away from her, to put as much distance between her and me as possible. It's you, right? You made me see that. It was your delusion. You controlled my mind. It's some kind of mental attack. You demon! I'll kill you with my sword. If I could just get back to the base. I've got a D sword. I felt a sudden shock on my cheek. It stung and started to feel hot. Rimi had slapped me. This time she was going to kill me. I tried to crawl away as fast as I could, but Rimi easily grabbed my hand. She pulled me close with a strength it was hard to believe a girl could have, and held me tight. Her soft body pressed against me gently. It was so warm, and I could just smell the slightest hint of her sweat. Damn it! Way to fucking ruin it. Genuinely, I was so invested.
しっかりして
Calm down. That was the last thing I expected her to say. I could feel the strength leave my body.
ここにいたら
It's dangerous to stay here. Her voice sounded a little sad. I couldn't tell if she was
信号
crying. Look,
赤に
the
なっちゃってる
crosswalk signal's red. I wasn't sure what to think. Wasn't she here to kill me? Why was she saving me? Wasn't that hallucination of people disappearing from Shibuya something she'd forced me to see? Once I'd felt this gentle warmth from her, once she'd held me in her innocent arms, how could I still be sure? How could I stop myself from thinking that maybe Rimi Sakihara wasn't a demon at all? Was I just a fool? Was I falling for her tricks? One thing I could be sure of was that I felt so safe and peaceful in her arms. What was this strange feeling? Rimi let go and then put her hands up to my cheeks, looked up at me in the face. Her eyes were a little red. Please,
今は
just for now,
私について
follow
き
me.
ていい
Okay. I nodded. We were standing in the middle of the now empty crosswalk. People on both sides of the road were staring at us as they waited for the light to change. I could hear laughter starting to bubble up from the crowd. The cars all had their headlights pointing at me and were starting to honk their horns. Rimi held my hand tightly and started to run toward the side lawn. I followed along, letting her pull me forward. We managed to make it through the noise of the horns to the sidewalk. Rimi let out a sigh of relief and stopped. She was still holding my hand. Just touching her made me feel calmer and calmer. It made me want to give in to the feeling and stay like this forever. Rimi turned toward me.
無事でよかったね
I'm glad you're safe. She looked so happy. I couldn't believe that the look on her face might be a lie or an act. But
話してよ。
let me go. I thought of her as my enemy for so long. I thought of her as a demon. If I gave in, I'd cease to be me. That's how it felt, at least.
ごめん
Oh,
ごめん
sorry. She let
それ
go.
にしてもびっく
You
りした
surprised me, though, just lying out there in the middle of the road like that. I was so worried when the light turned red. She sounded happy. I turned away. I started to push through the crowds and walk forward. I'm
Kyle.
going home.
じゃあ
Okay,
送る
then.
よ
I'll walk you
具合悪い
home.
ん
You're
でしょ
not feeling well, right? I could hear chasing after me, but I shook my head no. Taku. The cheerfulness in her voice had vanished. I felt really badly since she saved me so.
ありがとう。
Thank you. I barely managed to squeak out the words. You sure you didn't? I mean, like, that was the whole. There were like rumors the last time we were here. But anyways, I think all the shit that he's been saying about how like every time that Takumi goes on a rant about how he like has this ultra profound idea that people see the world in different ways and that everybody has their own reality, he's actually like what's coming to truth, it's coming to fruition, and that's like what the whole story is about. So from his point of view, he is a loser who never leaves home. But from everybody else's point of view, or for at least from Rimi, and from Rimi's point of view, he is her friend. He's a loser who never leaves home, but he's also her friend. So he has two friends in in her version of reality, right? In her version of reality, because I don't think my mic picked up on that, right? So and then things are starting to merge together. People's realities are starting to fucking combust into recycled, reused, menopause, apprentice oil pussy. Get that ass banned. Yasujiban had sighed bitterly to himself as he looked at the rows of detectives assembled in Shibuya police station's large conference room. The Inokashira line Shibuya Station bathroom murder, what the media had been taken to calling the vampire, had pushed it Shibuya police's available manpower to its absolute limits. I forgot who I said I thought was killed. And with 3 bizarre murders in the same district, it was looking more and more likely that a single culprit was responsible for all of them. Some officers had suggested leaving the Cornelius Tower suicides to the Youth Crimes Division, but the media was treating them as a part of Nugent. They'd take a lot of flack if it seemed like they were leaving out. It was only natural that HQ would decide to bring the task forces together into one big team. Right now, the new, bigger group was going back over each of the cases individually. There was a big screen on the front of the room, showing slides of the crime scenes. Sua had been assigned to give the briefing on them. He and Bond had been up all night, frantically going through the case files for all 4 cases. Good luck, kid, Bond said to himself, resting his head in his palm. The Cornelius Tower Group suicide took place on September 7th. This was the first of the 4 cases that the media referred to as the Nugent murders. At around 11:30, a group of 5 boys and girls fell from Cornelius Tower heliport. They all turned to beautiful red flowers, Ronnie style. They were all minors, high school kids. 3 boys, 2 girls. 2 of them, a boy and a girl, went to the same school. The rest all attended different schools. Autopsies showed that they all had small fragments of flesh under their nails and scratch marks on their palms. We can conclude from this that they likely held hands as they fell. There were no signs of any suicide note left behind on the roof. The 5 of them seemed to have met after school and headed to Cornelius Tower. As for the question of whether this was a homicide, it's worth noting that the Cornelius Tower roof is off-limits to visitors. At the time of the incident, the door to the roof was locked, and no fingerprints from the victims were found on the doorknob. None of the deceased had a key on their bodies when they'd been found either. This implies that a third party, besides the victims, was present at the scene. Our current assumption is that this third party had the key to the door and locked the door and left before or after they jumped. We've questioned every employee at the Cornelius Tower Hotel. Almost all of them had an alibi. We're now talking to the employees of companies that are located in the tower. None of the 5 victims have any motive for suicide that we've been able to find. We have testimony from family, friends, and teachers before the 5 that they would have absolutely no reason to kill themselves. The slide changed, moving to the second case. Oh. So that's what that looks like. Can we get a censor mods crushes fetus in its stomach? As for this case, which they are calling the pregnant man, it took place on September 19th, 12 days after what's been termed the group died. It was a worker at a local karaoke place who discovered the body. They found it at approximately 5 a.m. The victim was one Chizuo Kone, a third-year college student in Shibuya. He was 21 years old. The victim was deceased at the time he was found. Estimated time of death is around 1 a.m. on the 19th. 4 hours before the body was discovered. The victim's stomach was abnormally bloated. An unborn baby was found within it. Wait, okay. What if everybody, like what if all the important people who have a D sword, right? Or who probably will end up having a D sword. Because like I think Rimi, either she has it in the opening or she has it on the promo material, right? So what if like the people who have D swords, right? What if before they like come to terms or come to get their abilities, they're like killing people around them. And that's why all these are like disconnected. Like Urpal Girl, for example, fucking Orihara did this shit. And Rimi did the crucifixion, right? And fucking Nishijo, either Nishijo or Senna, killed the nigga in the bathroom. That's my current working theory at 1:41 a.m. on July 14, 2025. The infant was likely deceased at the time. Yeah, no shit, nigga. The victim would have died after his belly was sewn back together. We found indications that he'd ripped at the stitches and torn some of the thread. The baby would have been in its 8th month of development, and we believe it was removed from the mother's body via C-section. For now, we know nothing about the mother, not even whether she's dead or alive. DNA analysis revealed that the baby and victim had no genetic relationship. For what it's worth, the baby had blood type B, the victim had type A. Sua paused to take a breath. Talking so much had tired him out. It looked like giving a presentation in front of this many older detectives was probably nerve-wracking too. Now on to the third incident, the crucifixion murder at Mariamacho. There was a slight pause before the crucified slide came up. Okay, now here, look, here he doesn't have his blue hair, so I can't say this looks. I don't know if this is important, but this shit looks nothing like any other depiction of it we've seen. I don't think. Maybe it's important, right? But I think that might be important, that this depiction of it is different. Like we never see his face or his smile, right? We've seen his face, but we've never seen him smiling before. And it could be because it's grayscale, but his hair is usually blue under the light. He also had way more. Was he Hisashi Ota before? He was a professor, but and also he had way more like spikes into him. And they really could have reused the picture from Rimi, right? The picture of where Rimi was in front of the body could have been reused, but without her there, right? So this might be different for a reason, but it might not, and it might just be tweaking. A man who lived in a nearby apartment was the one to find the body. The cause of death was strangulation. After death, he was nailed to the wall within 10 or so stakes. As you can see, there are a few wounds on the body itself. While some of the stakes did go through the flesh, they were primarily nailed through his clothes. Media is calling it the bloody crucifixion, but there was no blood loss whatsoever in the victim. The nails used were cross-shaped stakes sold by a German company named Kreuznagel. A choice of a cross-shaped nail is a distinctive one and shows we're currently looking into any religious connections. The incident occurred between 9 o'clock and 9:30 p.m. There are reports of residents that they heard the sound of nails being pounded into a wall for at least 10 to 20 minutes. Since this matches the estimated time of death, we can assume the victim was killed at the spot, or failing that, somewhere nearby. We also have an unreliable report of a sighting of a female Suime Academy student in the area. Okay, it came back to me. I thought that was the doctor, but I'm pretty sure that the doctor was at the fucking secret ass, weird ass New World Order Jews meeting. Right? So this can't be him. Which means that it's just another random schmuck. Oh. But yeah, that's weird, because when Nishijo, I keep wanting to say Shido because I've been reading Data Life, but when Takumi walked into the alleyway and saw Rumi there, she was covered in blood and there was blood everywhere. There was no blood loss. Did they... There wasn't even any blood. I don't know if it was because it was grayscale, but there was no blood in the picture either. Also, why was the picture grayscale and this one's in full color? Why was the first image in slightly desaturated? The second image also slightly desaturated. The third image in grayscale and this one in a normal saturation. This one happened on October 10th, 15 days before Logan's birthday. It was found at approximately 5:30 a.m. A station employee was the first to find it. We know nothing about the victim for the moment. They didn't have any kind of identification with them. That's where you're wrong. They don't... Do they not know about the picture being uploaded before the body was found? Time of death could be anywhere between 10 to 6 p.m. the day prior. The body was drained of blood and looked something like a mummy. As you're aware, this photo was taken... Okay, they do. Bond grimaced a little as he listened to the explanation. Is this the killer's way of saying the death had become fashion or something? Oh, and then it fucking just ends abruptly, and that's the end of chapter 3. Okay.